Hello and welcome to this video. Today I will show you how I produced my track Everything I Need. So if you're interested, grab your favorite drink and stay tuned. The way I started this track was basically with the bass line. I recorded this bass line from my DX11. And if to some people this preset or this bass sound sounds familiar, it's the bass sound that was also used in the track Rhythm is a Dancer. So for the drums, I used a kick from the M1 plugin. And of course I did some processing on it. I put the compressor on it to give the kick a bit more punch. And of course an EQ. Some very basic stuff. I boosted some frequencies and lowered the sub bass a little bit because it was a bit too punchy. And as you can see, I used the kick as the signal for the sidechain as well on various tracks. For the hi-hats, it's basically nothing special. I used some samples from the VEC1 sample pack, and the pattern is very simple. And in the back, I also have a very cool rhythm percussion loop going that I found in my loop collection. I seem to have downloaded it some time ago from Looperman. And together with the bass, it sounds like this. For the percussion samples, I used again a drum kit from the M1. Yeah, it's the house kit from the M1. And to make the whole thing a bit more interesting, I panned one part of the percussion to the left and the other part to the right. Next we have a background synth. For this background synth I used the FL Studio stock plugin Citrus. I really like to use it for background synths. It has some really cool presets that I find pretty nice, and I also think it sounds pretty good. And all together we have the intro, and it sounds like this. So next we have some vocals. So for these vocals, I did a lot of processing. As you can see, I have here the FL Studio picture plugin going on. Because from the notes didn't really match with the track. And I have a chorus also on it. It's a plugin from Universal Audio. A delay, then a tape echo where I used the reverb, the spring reverb, to give it a bit of a more harsh sound. And of course an EQ, some really basic stuff. Yeah, and in the end I added some compressing also on it. And together with the other tracks, it sounds like this. So as the track slowly builds up to the break, I added some strings, which are a layer of 2 sounds. For the first layer, I used a patch from the Korg M1 plugin again. Very nice strings. And a string preset from my Roland Alpha Juno. The processing on these channels is nothing really special. I added some reverb, EQ, some compressing, where I used a compressor from Universal Audio as well. I really like that one. When you just want to compress something a little bit and you don't want to mess around with a lot of settings, especially useful for background tracks. And I added a little bit of sound goodizer because I wanted to have it a bit more polished. And for that I find this plugin really helpful. I know some people don't like it and it has a kind of a bad reputation among FL Studio users, but I like to use it a lot on background tracks to polish them a little bit and put them a little bit more in the foreground. And if we listen to the strings all together, they sound like this. So as the track slowly gets closer to the break, I am starting to introduce a part of the main melody. I used a very iconic patch from the M1 for this melody, and I bet 99% of you have heard this patch before. It was used on very famous house records, and it's very recognizable. And for the last bars before the break, I used a plug for the background to make it a bit more interesting. And it sounds like this. It's again a patch from the M1. And I also have some processing going on this one. Which is some chorus. A reverb, I used the Valhalla vintage verb on this one with the 1980s color to make it a bit more rough sounding and not that polished, and digital. Then I have an EQ and again a sound goodizer. And I just love how the melody is coming out of the filter. Sounds amazing. Now the strings are coming in. So for the drop, I added kind of a guitar kind of sound. It's called e-guitar on. It's again from the Korg M1. So again, I did here a lot of processing. Again, the Valhalla vintage verb with the 1980s color, the LA3A compressor, and then of course here the filter plugin. I really like to use this small filter plugin. It's nothing special, but it's really easy to use and it does its job pretty well. And of course some EQ and some more compression. And I also added in between always some vocal effects that I want to quickly show you as well. Because I did a lot of processing and I got really crazy with that on that one. I added a flanger, some delay and some reverb to give it a nice stereo effect. And here we have the vocals again. Yeah, and that's basically it. So I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe you learned something from it and you enjoyed taking a look with me at my track Everything I Need. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and see you next time.